Bailey. Emily?
Hi, everyone. So this is the interpretation slide I'm going to translate. Para las personas que necesitan traducción a español, pueden buscar el globo donde están si están en celulares, busca los 3 puntos abajo en los iconos, luego eliges traducción de lenguaje y ahí está la opción de español y le pueden traducir. Ok, thank you.
WEAC's mission. Hello, this is Ronald Thomas. I'm one of the outgoing planning committee members. Good morning, everybody. WEAC's mission, since 1988, we've worked to build healthy communities by ensuring that people of color and/or low income participate meaningfully in the creation of sound and fair environmental health and protection policies and practices. Next slide.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bailey. I'm the manager of membership and organizing for WEAC for Environmental Justice. Welcome to all of you, wherever you are in the city, or even if you're outside the city. Becoming a WEAC member is important, not only to the organization, but it's important to the community. We're building power every day. We have over 900 dues paying members at this time. So we're just asking you, if you are not a member of WEAC, be a member today. Make the commitment to not only just help us build healthy communities, but to spread the word about the great work that we're doing. And if you need to renew your membership, you can do that as well. So again, we're building power to improve the lives of not only Northern Manhattan, but also on the federal and city and state levels.
So, everyone, as you know.
And what's the course, Bailey?
Wait, let Charles go and I'll go back. Go ahead, Charles.
So there's 2 types of views. I suggest that you guys use speaker view, but if you want to see anyone, you can use gallery view. Hopefully everyone knows what those views look like. We've been on Zoom now consistently now for almost what, 2 years, 2.5 years? And it's been rough. All right, next slide. Hopefully everyone knows how to unmute themselves. At this time, I would just ask everyone to mute themselves. That way we don't get any background noise through the presentation. And if you're on your phone, it's *6. And to look at the video, it's *9. So on the left-hand side, as you already know, I just want to kind of make sure you understand, there's a microphone. You put your mouse on top of it and you click it, it'll mute you. And you can get off the video, but it'd be nice to see everyone's face. Next slide.
So going back to real briefly, everyone that's on this call, membership is $25. So if you became a member today, which is June 11th, your membership would expire 1 year from today, June 11th, 2023. So it's $25, but at WEAC, you get so much more than the $25.
Okay.
So community agreement, again, Emily Marte, the outgoing chair of the planning. So we ask you to be present and participate. This is a community gathering, like virtually, but still we want you to participate. We want to hear your voices whenever we ask you to. Only 1 microphone, so 1 person at a time. We can call upon you when the time comes. Speak from the I perspective, not for an entire group of people. Move up, move back, land your plane. So I know there's always a million points to say about one thing, but just get to the point. Use appropriate and respectful language in the chat. Although we always say this, I just want to emphasize this because I guess there's been some hostility. There's several ways to communicate. So it's through the chat, verbally, visually, so just be respectful all those ways, please, everyone. Respect other people's points of views, and this is a judgment-free zone. Let's all agree to disagree if there is a disagreement, right? And next slide, I think I'll pass it to Russell, right?
Hello, good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. I'm Russell. I'm on the planning committee, and I'm going to talk about the agenda. We'll have introduction to WEAC for Environmental Justice, also announcements from WEAC staff and planning committee. introductions and voting for these new planning committee members. Also, voter engagement, early voting presentation from Pamela Stewart. And we're going to talk about the fair fairs, have a presentation on that. And then finally, we'll do closing words. Next slide, please.
Taina.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Russell and Bailey. My name is Taina, and I would like to extend an invitation to a workshop that we'll be hosting virtually on June 16. And the topic is lead poisoning. As you all know, a lot of residents have issues of lead, and even New York City itself has issue of lead. So even if you are not having lead, come attend the workshop, gain some information on what to do, and also the steps that you could take to prevent lead poisoning. Next slide. And it's from 6:30 to 7:30.
Good morning, everyone. Bailey again. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Team Up to Cleanup event, and we have also WEAC member Signe Mortensen on there, and she can really dive into it. But we're doing a Team Up to Cleanup event on Saturday, June 25th from 10 a.m. to 1. We will just be starting from the WEAC office, which is at 152nd in Amsterdam. And this is to highlight our community. We're going to do a cleanup event down Amsterdam, probably on the Broadway Mall on 145th. And we're going to go through Manhattanville houses. And so we're going to do this cleanup event to bring light to some of the issues that we're having in Northern Manhattan. So Signe, if you're on the call, would you like to talk more about it?
Hey, Bailey, sure. Good morning, everyone. Hello, family. How are you? So my name is Signe. It's nice to meet you all. If I've not met you before, I've been around West Harlem, about 13 years. And I remember way back when Julian Terrell had one of our first membership meetings, and I walked in the room and said, "What do you do?" And so here I am, over 10 years later. But we've done a lot of work together, WEACT and I do a lot of work in the community on my block. I work in my garden, which often makes it so I can't come to these meetings. But we've done Earth Days together, all sorts of good stuff. So West Harlem Team Up to Clean Up started about 2 years ago when the pandemic started. And if you noticed, a lot of trash was on our streets. So some of us got together and decided, you know what? That's what we do in West Harlem. We just do it ourselves when it's not being done. So we got out there and we did it ourselves. West Harlem Development Corp last year decided to jump on board and give us some funding, which was great. And then this year, WEACT got on board, and so they gave us 3 times the amount of money. So we need 400 people to come out and join us for Team Up to Clean Up on June 25th. We want 400 people strong, an army of people out there cleaning up our blocks, our gardens. There are hubs all through West Harlem and Morningside Heights and Manhattanville and even parts of Central Harlem. The hubs will be set up with supplies. People can just come grab supplies the morning of. Please register so we know how many supplies to have at each hub. This again is June 25th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The registration, you can see the link on the screen here, and wonderful little QR code that I believe probably somebody created, like Bailey or someone. So just click that QR code and you can register immediately for the Team Up to Clean Up. I'm really excited. WEACT is on board this year to make it all happen and make it 400 strong, an army of folks. So if there's any questions, let us know. I'll put more details in the chat if someone hasn't already, but I'm excited to be working with you all again. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that, Signe. So,
Go ahead, Bailey.
no, I'll get Charles.
All right, so we're doing a study, a community-based Victoria research study on extreme exposure study in North Manhattan. It's about extreme heat. As you know, summer is here. It's been raining a lot lately, but I'm looking forward to having a great summer. And during the summer months, we always get a period of time, and maybe twice during the summer, of extreme heat. Just wanted to let you guys know that we'll be doing a study, and we'll be sending out more information about the study so that way you guys can participate if you want to. So just wanted to keep that, let you know about this. If you want to know more about it, as you can see, there's a QR code on the screen, and please sign up if you're interested. Okay? Thank you very much.
And last but not least, I mean, whether you're a member or not, you've been with WEAC since its inception or just became a member, we're going to have a barbecue. We have our annual barbecue in July of every year. This is a slide from last year's barbecue, if any of you attended. So we're going to have this barbecue Saturday, July 16th at 10 a.m. We'll send out more details about the exact location, but this is a way of saying, hey, thank you. We can't thank you enough. There's no amount of money, no prizes, gifts we can give you when you become a member to say thank you for all the hard work, because without you, we wouldn't be able to do the work we do, pass the legislation we pass every year. So we're having this barbecue. We'll send out a link for everybody to sign up. Saturday, July 10th, come out, food, merriment, but we get to see each other, something we haven't done in quite some time. So we're going to have 2-minute introductions for the people. In case you missed it in a couple of meetings ago, we had the planning committee, which is the committee that is a liaison between the upper management and you, the membership. The WEAC membership and planning committee work together to make sure that your voices are heard in things that you care about in the community. So we're going to have 2-minute introductions from our planning committee applicants. And today you'll be able to vote. You'll be able to vote on who will be on the planning committee. So I am going to turn it over to Ms. Tina Johnson to let her introduce herself to you and tell her why she should be on the planning committee.
Hi, my name is Tina Johnson. Good morning, everyone. I've been around WEAC for a long time. I think I started coming in like 2014. So I'm coming up soon on a 10-year anniversary. I love WEAC. WEAC's been instrumental to me as far as learning about the community, learning about the environment and how the environment affects the community and how it affects me and my neighbors. It's given me a platform as well as teaching me and grooming me to be able to speak up and express these things that I see around me. I love WEAC. I am really impressed and invested in the work that they do. I want to make sure that I'm supporting WEAC and that the membership is growing, because the stronger the membership is, the stronger WEAC is. And long story short, I was around when the planning committee first started. The second term I had to stop because I was hired and I was an employee, so that's a conflict. I'm no longer an employee. Now I'm a member and I want to get back into the game of actively supporting WEAC, getting to know the members and helping to build the community. Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you so much. And again, after these presentations, everyone who's on this call, or if you're in person, if you're on your phone or you're on the Zoom, we will have a poll that you'll be able to vote for who you think should be on the planning committee. Next, we have Miss Jewel Jones. Jewel, would you introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bailey. My name is Jewel Jones. I live in East Harlem. As with Tina, I was actually also a member of the first planning committee. So I have a lot of history in terms of how the planning committee came about. I kind of helped with structuring, the structure with the former employee of WEAC, James Burke, along with Bailey. I have been involved with WEAC for quite some time. It's been many, many years, maybe as long as Tina has, I'm not really sure. I am involved currently with the Environmental Justice Committee. I've gone through WEAC's leadership training program. I've been able to advocate on behalf of WEAC at City Hall, in Albany. So I've had a lot of interest and done a lot of advocacy on behalf of WEAC, and I hope to continue doing that. As it relates to membership, so in terms of membership, yes, I would like to see many more members. I'm happy to bring in more members from East Harlem, and as well as other parts of Manhattan, but particularly East Harlem, because there's a lot of environmental justice concerns as it relates to East Harlem. And I cannot get into that right now because I only have probably a minute left, but there's a lot of issues of concern as it relates to environmental justice. And I hope to be supportive of that. So I look for your support, and I hope to get your vote to return to the Planning Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jewel. Next, we have Mr. Yvonne Jean Noel. Mr. Noel, introduce yourself to the membership.
My name is Yvonne Noel. I'm living in Carver House. I live in East Harlem. Like everybody already read my profile. So I joined WEAC, I believe, in 2018. Honestly, I never think I'm still going to be here. So when I start to be in WEAC, I see so much good thing happen. I'm watching those people working inside there. They mean what they're doing. They love what they're doing. And when I start with Pamela sent me to the campaign, I sent me to put flyers, people to vote. And then this is the moment I see the value of WEAC, where people, when I asked Pamela after the vote, after the campaign, how many people were elected, Pamela told me all of them. So this is the moment I said, WEAC is potential. WEAC is a place where you can do whatever is possible for the people. So to go further than that, and I read this week where we have 2 bills who just passed. 2 bills, the PFAS, and I'm sorry if I crossed the line, PFAS and clearing toxic air. The legislature just passed. So those things, WEAC fight for it. And then you got a bunch of people in WEAC. They're young, they're old, at the same time, they love what they're doing. That's why I want to join WEAC. I want to join WEAC so to push people, to make people believe, especially where I'm living at, to explain it to them what's going on. And then at the same time, too, I'm sorry if I'm going to cross the line again. If anyone here right now hear me, you live in Nacha, if you got a friend, talk to them about Section 9. It's very important. We are fighting for that. And I tell you clearly, if you don't vote, don't let nobody fool you to tell you, oh, it's too big, the government take over. It's your time right now to vote for Section 9. If you have a neighbor, tell them that. To tell them to vote for Section 9 is very important. Today, if anyone here, you're not in Nacha, you're in Winstable, read my lips, hear what I said. 10 years from now, the land are going to attack Winstable. So me, I give all my effort to fight for Section 9. I want to join the committee, the planning committee, because I see a great job. Like I said again, all the candidates, they are qualified to be a planning committee. I said, good luck to them. That's the only thing I can say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Noel. Next, we'll switch to Ms. Joyce Bialik. Joyce, you can do your introduction.
Unmute, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. So hello, everyone. How are you doing? I want to mention, first of all, that I really hope to get more members for this wonderful, empowered community. And I was wondering what more to tell you about who I am and what I hope to contribute to WEAC and the Membership Planning Committee. But first, I'm a rent-stabilized tenant in Park West Village, which is just south of the Manhattan Valley border and Douglas houses. I'm familiar with NYCHA issues, and I've been active in the tenant movement, so I can contribute about housing under your policy agenda. Another WEAC area I'm familiar with is workforce development, since I had been director of planning citywide training programs for dislocated workers, youth, and what government calls people who are economically disadvantaged. Another one of my areas is solid waste. That's an important issue that can have bad environmental and health effects, particularly on those who are low income, and I believe should also be part of WEACT's policy agenda. I'm an active member of the Manhattan Solid Waste Advisory Board, and I can help WEACT to advocate on behalf of the side of social justice when it comes to solid waste. But maybe the most important reason for my interest in the Planning Committee and WEACT is personal. I just enjoy being with the WEACT folks, with the WEACT community. I agreed to volunteer at the Randall's Island fundraiser because I wanted to meet the folks. And yes, they did make me happy. Charles, Annie, Chris, Pamela, Russell, and Gianna, to name a few. And to confirm my happy mood, you'll find me smiling in the photos as I reach the finish line. But of course, I wasn't in the race. I was just returning to the group after leaving the place where I volunteered. And that's actually one of my favorite photos. Bye all. I hope you'll vote for me.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you for that. Next, we have Miss Lizelle Williams. Lizelle, could you introduce yourself to the membership? I saw you logged on. Lizelle, can you hear us? Okay, I see her logging on, everyone, but so we'll switch and then come back. Shael, would you like to introduce yourself to the membership?
Sure. Thank you, Bailey. Shel Pandya, I go by he, him. I've been living in West Harlem for about 16 years with my wife and 3 children. First off, just let me say, we've got 64 participants on the Zoom call on a beautiful Saturday morning. So that speaks to the organization as a whole and the membership we have. It's pretty amazing. And, I've joined a lot of organizations, but I've not seen so many passionate members, as well as the leadership that goes with WEACT. So it's amazing to see the movement that has been built. It took a long time, but we're at a, we have good tailwinds. We're strong. We're making a lot of policy changes. Personally, I'm an environmental engineer. I've been cleaning up contaminated land, water, air for the past 21 years. So from a technical side and a financial side, I know what environmental justice means and what it takes to get stuff moving. And the main reason I want to join is not only be actively involved and to contribute whatever I have learned over my past 21 years, but also to take this dynamic movement and push it forward and be a liaison between our membership and the upper management and make sure that both are aligned and how we can maximize this amazing movement that has been built over the last 25 years. So I'm really passionate about it. I know we can make changes. I'm amazed to see the last 6 months, how many changes and laws we've passed. I want to take this forward and make sure we make more of an impact. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Shael, for that. Let's switch back. Lizelle, are you with us?
Yes. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Charles and Bailey, good morning. I'm running for the Planning Committee for the 2022 elections because I believe in WEACT very much. I was one of the original members of the original Planning Committee back in 2016, and we did an amazing job, I believe, along with the help of the membership and the executive leadership. And the things that we started, some of the environmental policies that we were able to get through, there's still work to be done. And I would be so honored and would like to join this planning committee to forward those advances and build upon the foundation and the work that we have done. I'd like to see the membership grow stronger and larger, and along with the planning committee, do wonderful things to ensure that our community is protected and informed about industrial processes and environmental injustice, and just to make sure that we have a voice in the planning that goes forth that impacts our communities so much on a daily basis. and we could improve our situation and have a hand in it. And along with WEAC being a very strong and influential organization that teaches us or helps us to have a voice and put our desires and wishes forward. I would like to be a part of that and continue with that. As just on a final note, my background is in environmental safety and occupational safety and management. And yes, I would like to, I'm retired at this point, but I continue to volunteer in different organizations, and WEAC as one has always been one that has been very fulfilling. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much. I don't see his name in the chat. Mr. Paul Ziegler is the last person. Paul, are you on the call? I don't see your name. So we do not at this time have Mr. Ziegler, as you see his picture there with the hat flipped up. He is the last applicant for the planning committee. And again, everyone, if you just joined us a little late, the planning committee is the bridge of how we get our work done. So the planning committee is your voted in representatives as we try to advocate for sound policies. This is what WEAC is all about, building power, but it's you, the people on this call, that make that work. Participate meaningfully is just not a slogan we threw in our mission statement. We mean it. Participate meaningfully in the development of sound practices and policies on the environmental level. And remember, everyone, we're doing this on the city, state, and federal levels. So let's get right into it. I'm going to open up the poll. Okay. I'm going to have to switch off the screen so I can access the poll, everyone. So let me stop sharing and get into the poll itself. So just give me 1 second. Logged in from another device. Charles, can you see if you can activate it? Because it's saying it's not giving me the proper thing to see if you could activate the poll. Because it won't. It says that I'm inactive, and I can't be inactive. So just bear with us 1 second, everyone. You know Zoom, there are technical difficulties. Oh, okay, April, I see you've already voted, so that's no problem. And just so you know, Tian, I see your question. You can vote for as many people as you want to vote for. There's no limit. So if you want to vote for everybody, you can vote for everybody. There's no one, we're not limited to that.
I don't see any poll.
Yeah, how can we find the polls?
I'm gonna try to activate it because I'm running the slide deck. Let me just see somebody.
Is it in chat?
No.
Oh, I see it. I see
It
it.
just popped up.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. So continue, everybody on this call, vote. You've met the members who are applying. If you've already voted, then you can't vote a second time because we're sending it out through our Friday. Again, Kenya, you can vote for as many people as you want. So anybody that's on the call, again, you can vote for as many people as you want. There's no limit, but you only can vote one time in totality. So you can't vote tomorrow, okay? Because today is the last day for voting.
Okay.
So we'll give people some time. If you just joined us, we are participating in the voting for our new planning committee members who will be taking their positions effective July 1st, 2022.
So how many need?
I'm sorry. So you said if we already voted online, that was it, right?
That was it. If you've already voted, anyone, whether you did it online, through your phone, or through the newsletter that our director of communications, Chris Dobbins, sent you, you cannot vote a second time. But if it's your first time, you can vote for as many people who are applying for the planning committee as possible.
Right, and we will introduce everybody at the barbecue. We'll vote once we figure out everyone who's part of the planning committee. Am I correct in saying that, Belly?
That is correct.
We will meet everybody at the barbecue, at the OK WEAC barbecue. And if you haven't been there before, make sure you show up. It is a fun time. And if you're interested in participating in any way, let me know. You want to do some sort of game or you want to do some sort of project, let us know. We can make sure that happens. Okay.
So has anybody had any difficulty accessing? You should be able to see the poll, whether you're on your phone or if you're on your computer or laptop, however you see it, to vote. We just want to make sure everyone has a chance to vote. This is what we call our democracy, making sure people have access to the voting process. We'll give it like 2 more minutes and then we'll proceed with our rest of our membership agenda. So just give it a little time, everyone. If you haven't voted, still figuring out who you want to vote for. Again, you can vote for as many people, whether it's Joyce or Tina or Lizelle, Shael, Noel, or Mr. Paul Ziegler. You can vote for all of them, one of them. It depends on who you feel should be on the planning committee. And we will introduce them at the July 16th barbecue. So look forward to that barbecue and look forward to meeting your new planning committee members. Let me just see this response in the chat. These pass. Oh, okay. I'm gonna switch to my phone. I can't do it on my tablet. Okay, yes. My poll screen just disappeared. I'm on a computer. I didn't register my vote. Wait. Okay. Kenya, if you don't get it during this meeting, if it doesn't come back, then I will send it to you after the meeting and you can vote. It will still tally your vote. We want to make sure everybody gets a chance to vote if you're still having those difficulties. It is 10:43. We'll give it 1 more minute and then we will proceed. If you've not finished your voting, please finish tallying your votes so we can proceed with the rest of the membership meeting. Okay, we're going to move on to our next part of our meeting. This is just the slide. You've met the planning committee applicants and we just completed our voting. So I'm going to turn it over to WEAC staffer Pamela Stewart Martinez, and she's going to give us a presentation. Pamela, let me just stop the share. Take it away.
Okay, so just a minute. Let me just pull it out.
And Paige, don't worry, you'll be in spirit if you're not able to come. We'll take some pictures and share out all the pictures at the barbecue. It's going to be a fun event. You'll be out of town, but you'll still be with us.
Just a minute. Okay, so thank you, Bailey. Thank you, everyone. My name is Pamela Stewart Martinez. I am the Civic Engagement Manager here at WEAC. And today we're gonna give you everything you need to know about the primary elections 2022. So, of course, you know, the races are all state races and congressional races this year. So I'm gonna start out with the executive branch, where we have races for governor. So the executive branch is headed by the governor, who's elected for a term of 4 years. And in the Constitution, it says that the governor is in charge of the state budget. He also makes, or she, or they, them, make recommendations for legislation and propose funding for appropriations for different departments. Okay, and they have the power to veto legislative bills in which they disagree with. They can call special sessions, they can appoint people, and they can also remove non-elected state officers. So below are some of the candidates who are running. Of course, our current governor is running for re-election, Governor Hochul, Tom Suozzi, Jumaane Williams. We also have Lee Zeldin, Rob Astorino, Andrew Giuliani, Harry Wilson, and Lee Zeldin. They're all running for governor. Lieutenant governor, we have Antonio Delgado, we have Ana Maria Archia, and we also have Diana Reyna. The lieutenant governor is elected for the same term and as the governor. The lieutenant governor's main function is to serve as the president of the state senate. In the event that something happens to the governor, for example, if the governor resigns, like Governor Hochul's predecessor, the lieutenant governor would step up, which was the case with Governor Hochul. So for the primary election, which is the election that's done within each of the political parties, there are no primary elections for the state controller or attorney general. So in June or August, you will not see any statewide elections, primary elections for state controller or attorney general. And that's mainly because they really didn't have there's only one person who actually put in a petition for that race or actually had the ability to make the ballot. So in cases like that, for each political party, if there's only one person, they just have to wait until the general election in November and run against the winners in the different parties. And so that's the case there. Here are some of the candidates who are running in the assembly districts. So in our area for the 68th, you have Assemblymember Gibbs, Wilfredo Lopez, Tamika Mapp, John Ruiz Miranda. In the 70th, you have Assemblymember Inez Dickens, Delcenia Glover, Shawana Vaughn. In the 71st, you have Assemblymember Al Taylor, Louis Tejeda. And in the 72nd, you have Assemblymember Manny De Los Santos, Naima Silvermantos, and Sylvia Smith. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what happened to like Republican candidates here. There were no challenges in the Republican Party. There was more than likely just one candidate from the Republican Party or the Conservative Party that qualified to represent that party. So there's not going to be a primary. Those individuals go straight to the general election in November. So now, here's something that a lot of people may still be confused about. Why are we having two primary elections this year? Usually, we only have one primary election. It's in June. But what happened was there was an issue with redistricting. And I'm sure some of you have seen the screen before. We've gone over it before, what redistricting is, but I'm going to go over it very briefly. Redistricting is the process of drawing legislative districts. By federal law, redistricting must occur following the census every 10 years. And the reason that we do this is because there may be a shift in population. And so they have to draw new district lines. And so what winded up happening, what went wrong, was this group of people. They were appointed to come up with these district lines, and there were 4 of them from the Democratic Party, 4 from the Republican Party, and then each group got to vote in an additional person, and they could not agree on any maps whatsoever. they put out their own separate maps, which wasn't appropriate. And then in the end, they just gave up on the process, which actually caused the majority-led Democratic legislator to step in and decide to take over the mapping process, which turned out to be problematic. And there was an article where Governor Hochul said that she was going to use the redistricting process to help her party expand the House majority. There was a lawsuit that happened from the Republican Party, basically saying that what the Democrats did was unconstitutional because they didn't bring the Republicans to the table and work with them on a solution. So what winded up happening was a lawsuit happened and it went to Judge Patrick McAllister, and he decided that it was unconstitutional. And he enlisted Jonathan Service to actually draw up these new maps for the state Senate and for the congressional House races. And he said that if they had brought a complaint regarding the assembly maps, he would have done the same thing for that. But because they didn't bring it up, it wasn't in his place to do anything about it. The Democratic Party then appealed it. They lost. It came back to Judge Patrick and Mr. Service, and they created the new maps. So what does all of this mean? It means that there are going to be two races. One primary election that's going to happen in June, and it's going to be the assembly races, along with all of the statewide elections. It also meant that the assembly races would continue to happen. The assembly races would continue to happen June 28th, but then the Senate and the congressional races would be moved further during the summer into August 23rd because they needed more time to create the maps. It also meant that if other people wanted to run for these seats, they could, and there were quite a shift in districts for the state Senate and the congressional race maps. So I just threw up some of the newspaper articles that are out there. There was a Republican team that decided that they wanted to have the assembly maps redrawn and push the assembly race to August as well, but they lost their bid with the judge in Steuben County. He said it was too late to do so. So a bipartisan group of people decided that they were going to create their own lawsuit. They sent it to a different judge who then said, you know what, these maps are unconstitutional on the assembly level as well, and we're tossing them out. But we're not going to change the election. We're going to leave the maps as they are right now for this election. And then whatever new maps that we draw up, they will become activated in 2024 during the next election cycle. So that actually just happened yesterday. So this is an example of redistricting. So this is what the assembly maps used to look like on the left-hand side, and this is what the assembly map looks like now. On the assembly level, it's not much of a difference. On the state Senate level, it's very different. Now, for this example, I used the 30th State Senate District, which is currently being held by Cordell Clear. But Robert Jackson's district is very different right now. So for state Senate, a lot of districts were changed dramatically. And the same thing went in some of the congressional House races as well. Some of their districts were changed quite a bit. Not so much with the congressional district, 13 with Espeon, but still. Some of the other districts, the congressional districts like Nadler and Maloney, it's actually changed so much that they're actually running against one another. So I know that I'm pressed for time, but I do want to go over a couple of things. The first primary election, like I said, is June 28th. Early voting starts June 18th. And if you need to find where you vote, this is the link to see where you vote. Find mypollsite.vote.nyc. And I'll put that in the chat when I finish this presentation. When you go to that site, you put in your address like this, and it actually tells you where your early voting site is. It tells you where your regular election day voting site is. And it also gives you the opportunity to see what the ballot looks like. So you can see in your area who's actually running on the ballot. And that is it. Do we have any questions?
So if you want to ask a question, please put it in the chat and we'll put it in the line order of which you put it in the chat, and Pamela will take questions. We do have time. This is part of the education that we provide for members. So if you do have questions, please put it in the chat. We will call on you. You'll ask your question, and Pamela, hopefully, because she knows just about all of this stuff, she'll be able to answer that question. So if there's questions, put your name in the chat.
See, now, Bailey, you set me up just now. So what if someone actually comes up with a question that I don't know? But yeah, are there any questions out there?
Great thing. Marion Bell. Yes, go ahead, Marion. And everybody, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself because we do hear some background noise.
I'm outdoors. Please check the chat for my question. Thank you.
Okay, look at the above question.
Yes, her question is, when is the last day to register for congressional elections, in person, absentee?
Okay, wow, okay. You know what? So for the congressional races, you still have time, okay? You have to register, I believe it's 18 days, my mistake, 32 days before election day to register. So for the congressional races, they are in August. So you have time to still register for that. If you're trying to register for the upcoming June primary elections with the statewide elections and the statewide elections and the assembly race, it's a little late for that right now. The last day was June 3rd. Also, for those folks who want to do absentee ballots, there have been some changes with the absentee ballots. So the first change is last year, I don't know if you remember, if you requested an absentee ballot and you decided, you know what, I don't want to do the absentee ballot, I'm just going to go to the voting site and vote in person. You were able to go in and get your ballot and scan it and no problem. Even in some cases where people had mailed in their ballot, for the added security, some folks were still going in to the polling site and putting in their absentee ballot as well. This year, it's not the same. This year, if you request an absentee ballot, once you show up at the polling site, they're not going to let you get a ballot and go to the scanner. What they're going to do is they're going to give you a ballot affidavit for you to fill out. I'm not clear why they wanted to change that. The only thing that I can think of is maybe they're trying to discourage people from doing both. Maybe it complicates matters and extends the line longer than it should be at the polling site. There was no real, in my opinion, explanation about why they needed to change that, but they did change that. And also, folks, please, when you fill out the absentee ballot, make sure that there's a second envelope that the ballot goes in. Make sure you sign the back of that second envelope, it is very, very critical that you do so, because you don't want to not have your vote counted by not signing that. Are there any other questions?
I don't see.
Yeah, I had posted a pretty wordy question there. This is David, and thanks for your presentation, Pamela. This is really informative. I have worked with Food and Water Watch, another great organization, trying to get some climate legislation passed in Albany. There are two bills in particular that the Senate had basically approved and supported. But both of them kind of languished in the assembly, and we're really frustrated, in particular with Carl Hastie, the speaker, for not getting them on the floor for a vote. So one of the points made earlier is that the governor can actually reconvene the legislature for whatever reason. And I think this would be a perfectly valid reason to request this. Should we call on her and try to prevail on her to reconvene the legislature for this purpose? By the way, the first bill is the All Electric Building Act, and it mandates that all buildings starting 2024 be outfitted with electricity, be electrically powered and powered with heat pumps rather than with fracked gas, which has been the very sad tradition. The second one, the Build Public Renewables Act, would authorize the New York State Power Authority to set 2030 as the date for the date for clean energy for the state. They're both crucial. Neither have made it to the assembly floor. Anyway, that's enough background for me, maybe, but can we call on the governor, or will we be better off calling Speaker Hastie's office himself, or both? What do you think?
Ooh, that's a policy team question. And I wish we had someone from the policy team, because they're the ones who actually work really hard on getting those bills passed. And I don't know if I'm using the right word here, applying pressure to our elected officials in order to get them to move legislation that's very important to our communities.
Yeah.
I would say you're absolutely right that if the governor wants to, she could do that. But the question is, would she do it right now? Is it very safe for her to do it right now? I mean, her election is literally in a few weeks. And based off of the way that she's moving, and this is just me thinking out loud, the way that she's moving is she's being very safe in everything that she does. Wow. She refused many debates from many different organizations. I think maybe she did about 2 debates. And there were debates that happened without her, with just Chimani and Swazi. So I don't know if she'll do anything that would upset the apple cart at this juncture.
Okay.
That's
well,
my
David.
Yeah,
So David, just send me, Bailey, your question, and then I will forward it to the policy team, of course, when we get back Monday, and we'll have them reach out to you directly.
Okay.
Can I give a little bit of information? So David, usually for the assembly, for the houses to reconvene, it's if there is a significant issue. So I believe during the COVID, when there was the pandemic, the extension of appropriation and the extension of the executive orders, they were able to come back often and also to do the criminal justice reform. So if there's happens to be a major issue that occurs, like for housing, and they have to come back, then we'll be able to reach out to the speaker and put pressure and ask them to include environmental justice legislation in a package. But it's really difficult to convince the legislature and the governor to reconvene for individual bills. They usually like to do that if there's a significant package that needs to be passed.
Right.
Oh, and also keep in mind, he has an election coming up too.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry to be like persistent about this, but we waited so long for her predecessor, Cuomo, to act on this huge document he had signed to great fanfare just a few years earlier, the Climate Leadership Community Protection Act, right? Remember that one? And how much actual action did we get on that bill? I mean, you know, the implementation has been pretty insipid at best, right? So that's why I've got real urgency around these two, because we've got to get moving on climate.
No,
Okay,
I
we got
totally
also
understand.
get moving on there. There's some people that want to speak and have their hands
Yeah.
up. So I see Lewis
All
and then
right.
I see Paige. So Lewis, ask your question and Paige follow. Again, if anybody else, either I would prefer you so I could see it better to put your name in the chat. But if you raise your hand, I will call on you. So Lewis, you have the floor.
Yeah, I strongly do believe in electric as a process for us to get away from fossils. But is there anything in that bill that requires that the source of the electric be for non-polluting sources? Because it doesn't do us any good to you. Let me finish. It doesn't do any good to have a requirement for electric and then ramp up the source of the electric from fossil fuels.
Yeah, interesting point.
But
Again,
look,
this would be a question that we would have to work out with the policy team.
Well, I mean, I don't
wait a
know
minute,
about the
Annie's here.
Annie's
Thank
on
you.
here. Yeah,
Annie's
Annie's on
here.
here.
Well, let me just finish. It stands to reason that if you want to have a real green source of energy, that the two must follow hand in hand, or else you have accomplished nothing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I want to just jump in really quick and then hand it back to Pamela to maybe get us back on track. But I do want to say, that Louis, yes, absolutely. We need to make sure that we are sourcing our energy from renewable sources. And that's why WEACT is working on parallel tracks at the same time. There's not going to be one bill that's going to fix our environmental crisis, that's going to inject justice into our energy transition. And so WEACT is making sure that we are fighting on multiple fronts. One is low-hanging fruit, making sure every new building in New York State is all electric. We're also organizing to make sure that Con Edison is not unfairly or unjustly increasing people's rates. We're also making sure that we are accessing renewable energy that is not harmful to the environment or harmful to communities. We're also organizing to make sure that New York State doesn't support something called false solutions, which are renewable, they're advertised as renewable energy, but they actually are really either carbon intensive or hurt certain communities. So we're doing all of this organizing on multiple fronts. I highly recommend checking out our policy agenda. I'm pretty sure we have a whole section on energy and environment and electrification, because it'll show the multiple avenues that we're fighting on at the same time. Because like I said, no one bill is going to fix every problem.
You go.
Yeah,
Annie.
let me just.
That's my girl.
Let me just carry one
Lewis,
for a second.
Lewis, you have to stop because you have other people on here. We got to make sure everybody. So let's table that because
I'll put it into the chat. All right.
Right, Paige, you have the floor.
Thanks, and sorry to have my video off. My internet conked out for a moment, so I apologize if you already answered this, Pamela. But my question is about the primaries and whether WEACT is endorsing particular candidates.
Okay, so WEACT for Environmental Justice is a 501c3. So unfortunately, we do not endorse WEACT for Environmental Justice, but WEACT for Change, which is a 501c4, they actually endorse folks. So I would say look out for the endorsements that they should be coming. There are going to be some endorsements, I believe, from WEACT for Change, but I can't speak to that because this is a C3 nonpartisan membership meeting right now.
Got it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So we have to take one more question. That'll be from Noel, and then we'll have to move on to make sure we stay on topic. So Noel, answer your question quickly so we can continue to move on.
Okay, it's just a simple question. We're talking about electric. I want to know any R, because right now Con Edison is monopoly. That means Con Edison don't have competition. So any R we can have other other company organization, maybe you can compete with a Con Edison because Con Edison can give whatever price you want. That's my question.
Okay, for your question, I'm gonna bring Annie back to the floor. I
Thank
know
you.
Annie has the answer to that question because we've discussed it already. Annie?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I was having trouble hearing.
The question is, Con Edison is like a monopoly. We don't have no other organization to compete with a Con Edison. Con Edison can put whatever price they want, but can we find a way to have a more organization to come in to compete with Con Edison?
Yeah, absolutely. And without, taking up too much time, WEACT supported, and there was a really big push at the end of session to pass the Build Public Renewables Act, which would allow a public option in our utility space, which would have been, that's a huge environmental justice win if we can get that passed. And we almost did this session, and, the fight is going to continue next session. And so that would, inject some much needed competition into our utility market. But also, we're watchdogs over Con Edison, and we want to make sure that that they're not unfairly increasing rates, especially during a pandemic when there's so many people in arrears. And so we've actually been very involved in the ongoing rate case. Con Edison is proposing to increase their rates, and we are acting kind of as a dissenting voice against that to make sure that, there is a strong showing of community opposition on the record against them increasing their rates. And, we're also asking for a more, I guess you could call it like a tiered rate structure, but something that reflects different incomes so that people who are lower income are not paying a disproportionate burden of their income towards utilities. So I'm happy, if you're interested in any of this, I'm going to make a plug to join the Climate Justice Working Group because we talk about a lot of these policies, and I can drop a link in the chat, but I'm also happy to send more information to anyone who wants it. So I'll drop my email in the chat as well.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you.
You're the best. So I guess if anyone else has any questions, I will put that are related to election matters. Definitely reach out to me.
Is your presentation going to be posted?
Yeah, actually, you're going to be able to go on YouTube and view the membership meeting.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. Our final presentation will be done by me. I'm Bailey, the manager of membership and organizing in WEACT for Environmental Justice. So we're going to be talking about the Fair Fares program. It's the MTA's, Metropolitan Transit Authority's Fair Fare program. But before I start and talk about the issue, I want people to put in the chat, do you or anybody you know have trouble paying for transportation services? Like if you take the bus, the train, whether you take Long Island Railroad or any type of MTA transit option, do you have trouble paying for that? So I'm going to just let that set for a second and see what response we get. Do you have trouble paying for, sorry, let me go back to the slide. And if you do, put that in the chat.
What about Metro North? That's
Metro
not
North is
included, right?
Metro North is included. It's part of the MTA portfolio. Remember, you have Long Island Railroad and you have Metro North, all under the same umbrella, under the MTA. So we definitely want to conclude that. Sorry, my slides are jumping back and forth. Okay. So if you are having trouble, you know somebody, family member, friend, neighbor, who just says, hey, you know what? I can't go to this part of the city because, I just can't afford it. Let me just see if there's anything in the chat. Let me look at that. Somebody says, yeah, people I know. Absolutely, people I know. Does anybody themselves, if you want to put it out there, if not, if you yourself are having trouble, you can either you want to email me about it and you don't want to put it in the chat, that's fine too. But the issue here, when we're talking about transportation in New York City, and I want to put this little qualifier there. During the pandemic, as you know, the MTA shut down transit, the trains during the night hours so they could clean it. But that put a strain on people because, hey, how am I going to get around? We know we're not a 9-to-5 city anymore. People do work overnights. So to put this issue into perspective, many New Yorkers struggle with transportation costs. And also during the pandemic, it put an additional strain on household budgets. For those out there who take transit, since 2003, the fare has gone up. It started at $2 in 2003, and now it's at a base fare of $2.75, and that was as of 2015. And it could potentially go up higher. So that's 5 fare hikes in 12 years. I know people that they share a Metro card, that household members are sharing a Metro card because they just can't afford it. You know, who has the money to dole out for a $30 Metro card? Some people just don't have it. So that's the issue that Fair Fares is being brought to the table because it'll address some of the issues. The Fair Fares program originally started in 2019, but it was only available for 30,000 New Yorkers whose incomes were at or below the federal poverty line, and they were already receiving cash assistance or SNAP benefits from the city. And later that year in 2019, it was expanded to CUNY students, veterans, and NYCHA residents who meet the program's eligibility requirement. And I will share what the eligibility requirement in a later slide, so just hold tight right there, but there are eligibility requirements. The Fair Fares program helps low-income New Yorkers save 50% on public transportation, including subway fares, eligible bus fares, and those who take Access-a-Ride paratransit trips. It's a collaboration from the city and the mayor's office to provide these discounted Metro cards. And if you don't know, Metro cards will be phased out pretty soon for the new Omni. And it's going to be available both for the pay per ride, the weekly and monthly Metro cards that we're using now, even though they're going to be phased out. But it is available for those 3 options. The program began with a $106 million budget. And on February 14th of this year, Mayor Adams and City Council Speaker Adrian Adams announced that they were going to put $75 million more into the program beginning fiscal year 2023. So they're ramping this up, and I think that's a great idea, but they can always do more. There's never enough money to put so people can address some of their transit issues. The Fair Fare program provides the following options. You know, it has an option for buses and subways, including pay per ride, your 7-day weekly for those who buy the 7-day weekly, or for people who have the money to pay for a $30 unlimited Metro card. Access-a-Ride customers will get their discount applied automatically to their Access-a-Ride trips once their Fair Fares and Access-a-Ride accounts are linked. So if you do take Access-a-Ride, you already have a separate account. You would have to open up a Fair Fares account, and those would have to be merged so you can get the option. So if anybody on there is taking Access-a-Ride, knows a person that takes Access-a-Ride, they would have to open up a Fair Fares account, and I will get to that shortly. Who qualifies for the program? This is very simple, very straightforward. If you're 18 years of age or older, up to 64, and you are not currently receiving a discounted Metro card through another program, some people who go to programs, I used to be a case manager, and we give some of the people we serve a Metro card. So if you're receiving a discounted Metro card through a program, you cannot qualify for the Fair Fares. Okay, so if you're receiving car fare from a city agency and your income is not or below the specifics limits, which I will share, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot apply for the program. This is the income level, and when we say low income, think about what we're talking about when we say low income. Look at the eligibility requirements on the screen. One person household. The maximum you could make is $13,000. That is really, really low. where is this person making $13,000? If they're the only person in the household, where are they living? So right there and there, we know this is going to serve people who really, really need it. Household of 2, 18,000, and it goes all the way up to a household of 8. So a household of 8 is $46,000. That is really low. And how are $46,000 taking care of a household of 8? So it is a side note at the bottom for families and households with more than 8 people. You just add another $4,720 to each individual person to be eligible. How does the program work? So once you again apply, and I will get to that slide shortly. Once you apply, participants in the program will receive a special Fairfares Metro card in the mail with no value or time on it. And you have to fill it at the turnstile. It will be charged half the price of a normal single ride for the subway and buses. For an example, if you add money to your Metro card when you swipe at the turnstile, you will be charged $1.38, which is half the price of a single ride instead of a full price. If participants choose to add time on the card with a weekly or monthly unlimited pass, they will ask to be paid half of that typical cost. Example would be $16.50 for a weekly, and it'll be half, which is $63.50 for a monthly. Sorry, let me just get my screen. It's acting up again. And oh, sorry about that. It went away. And you can add value on time on the card by using cash, a debit card, or a credit card, and if you have an EBT card. So you can add it multiple ways to it. So here's the application link. I'll have someone put it in the chat. There is a link. And again, there's eligibility requirements in terms of how much money you make. Here is a link. If you're on your phone right now, you could scan it, and it can take you right to the HRA app. And there are sites where you can go apply Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And these are some of the sites. I put this on there. And again, if anybody has any questions, you could just email me. I could send you the information directly. So the application for the Bronx is at 1910 Monterey Avenue in the Bronx. If you live in Brooklyn, the address is 404 Pine Street in Brooklyn. If you live in Manhattan, it's 4055 10th Avenue. If you live in Queens, it's 32-20 Northern Boulevard. And there's also a Staten Island site at 201 Bay Street in Staten Island. So if there's any questions, we can take them now. Or if you want to email me at Louis, Louis, at weact, weact.org, I'd be happy to answer it. And that ends my presentation. So let me just stop sharing and look in the chat. If there are any questions thus far?
Yes, we have some questions.
So, Taina, could you take the questions, and then hopefully I'll be able to answer it?
Of course, of course. So we have the first one from April. She's asking, can we advocate for a higher minimum limit, income limit? What about the working poor who do not qualify for public assistance, but is still housing insecure? That's a great question.
I'll start by saying this. 10 years ago, I was hired by WEACT to be the transportation advocate. And there are all sorts of ways that we can try to, even though we specifically right now are not working on transportation, I think it is a great idea that we do advocate for that. It's the how. And I would have to get back to you and looking up some more on legislation. Is it through the city council? Is it through our council members? How do we do that to make sure that we're bringing that, with all the other host of things that are going on in the city? But I think your point is well taken. We need to advocate for more income eligibility so we can include more people into it. I mean, because others. Go ahead.
Sorry. just gonna add, yes, I think so we're the one that initiated the program. So if we indicate that, a lot of people are not able to participate, which is why they're able to expand it in 2021, because they realized that it was so constricted and restricted. So if we show and advocate that, a lot of, working individuals need to be able to make it to their job, can't meet this income limit or have a higher income limit, but yes, I think just the initial step of like reaching out. Sorry, Bailey.
Yeah, I'd like to add that there may be a possibility if people are interested, we'll probably do something in the barbecue. Maybe we can get a group of people together to talk about that and understand what we should do as a group. And maybe we can build the transportation group back out and start working with MTA and making sure that we can do something about that. So that will be on our agenda and at our barbecue. So anyone who's interested, we'll talk about it a little bit more deeply.
So Janet, I see your comment. So the Fair Fares program, yes, has the card, and then there's the option of putting the card on your phone. And I think there is a third option. So it's not limited. It's just like your credit card now. People who have credit cards, you don't need to have your actual credit card with you. And yes, you can use your phone. So there's going to be options, and we need to explore to making sure that people have as many options as possible.
There were some questions above that I had missed from Tina Johnson. Will Fair work for congestion pricing?
I do not know. I'd have to look up that, but I think they're two separate issues. The congestion pricing is a way of taxing people who come into the city if they're driving, so they can use that money to make the upgrades during for the MTA. So that's what the congestion pricing. So I think that's a separate issue. But we have to just find ways to make sure New Yorkers are able to move about the city. I think that's the most thing. We're a movable city. You go to other cities, they don't have 24-hour transportation. They don't have buses and subways that run all different hours and all sorts. Because if just for an example, if you live in Washington, D.C., they charge you by distance. So just imagine someone coming from Far Rockaway into New York City, you would be paying almost like $40. If we had that here. So we have the option, your Metro card can take you around the city anywhere for the one set price, and I think, other cities need to adopt that, because Washington, D.C. is one of the examples where you pay for distance.
What about the employee programs where their employees get their Metro cards for them? Well,
employees, I'm just going to say this. If you are an employee, yes, some offer the discounts. Some do have it, and some organizations, depending on their size, because to be able to get the employee discount, you have to have a certain amount of employees. But there's some small businesses that have 3 people. They're not going to be able to take advantage of that, because they don't have a certain amount. I don't know what that number is, but if you only have 3 people on your staff, you're not going to be able to offer an employee discount through the MTA for your employees to get to work. I don't know what the threshold is, but I know it has to be at least 15 or maybe more.
Can we advocate for change?
Well, this is a C3, so we can't talk about anything C4 stuff here. This is a C3 meeting. And remember, everybody, Pamela made the distinction. When we have our WEAC membership, we're talking C3 stuff. Anything in terms of endorsing candidates and stuff like that, that is the WEAC for Change, the C4. We cannot conflate the two. We can't have C4 stuff at a C3 meeting, or say we're endorsing candidates. We can't do that at this meeting.
So policy stuff is C4.
Well, policy is, we could talk about policy, but we can't talk about, hey, I want to endorse Louis Bailey for him. We can't make those type of comments at this meeting. So that's the C4 stuff. Taina, do we have any more?
I'm checking. I think I'm wondering if we had answered Lewis's question. Does Fair also include the senior citizen 50% discount, or is that a separate program?
If you're a senior and you're already receiving it, then you can't apply for Fair Fares. So remember, I put in the slide, If you're receiving any discounted Metro card from any agency, whether it's a community-based organization or anything like that, you cannot apply for fair fares. You can't do both. That would be called double dipping. So you can't. Sorry, Louis. Noel, I see your hand up.
No, I'm sorry. No.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Sorry. I would say, does anybody else have any other questions before we I'm just looking. I'm looking at everybody here, see if there's a hand up.
Right. There's no more questions.
There's no more questions. So I'm gonna throw it back to Charles. Charles, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, I surely will take us out, Bailey. Well, welcome everybody once again. Thank you for a great meeting. We have definitely done what the things that we needed to do today. I just have to pull up one slide and talk about one more issue that we're doing on November. No, not November. June 27th. Just let me pull it up and I'll get right back. I'm going to be right with you. I just got to pull it up real quick.
I just want to know, are we doing any get out the vote things for the upcoming election?
Pamela, I believe, is going to be doing some calls with the group. Correct, Pamela?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that question.
Get out the vote.
Oh, yeah. So what we're doing is we're making phone calls to remind people to vote. That actually started yesterday. We started with the 72nd and the 71st Assembly District. And we also were asking people to pledge to vote. Did that answer your question?
Definitely answered the question.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just got to get one thing and we'll be gone. Just give me 1 second. I should have copy.
So are there any other election matter questions?
And while Charles is pulling up the, just remember everybody, $25. If you're not a WEAC member, consider becoming a WEAC member today. And if your membership has expired, please renew your membership. And if you don't know if it's expired and you're not sure, you can just email me. I'll put your number in the chat and I'll call you and tell you whether it is expired.
Noel, your hand is raised.
Yeah, he hasn't taken it down, so he hasn't taken it down. He doesn't have a question, he said.
Louis Kleiman?
He hasn't taken it down.
No, I just put it up.
I'm sorry.
I assume that the phone calls have to be neutral. In other words, all we can advocate for in this call would be please do vote rather than suggest what people should be voting for.
I can only talk about the C3 calls that WEAC for Environmental Justice is making. I cannot comment on the possibility of any C4 calls that may or may not be happening.
Right, that's what I said.
Yeah, so for that, I would say reach out to our C4 team. I'll put their email address inside the link. And if you'd like more information about anything related to WEAC for Change, I'm sure someone would be happy to get back to you on that.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so the major meeting coming up that we're organizing for is the Power Up NYC Community Town Hall meeting. This is where we're going to put a 4-year plan together around energy issues in our community. The city has to actually do a plan around this. And we're going to have this meeting on the 27th of June at 6 o'clock to 7:30. So please come out and join. You'll be getting the email soon. You'll be getting the flyers soon. Please come out and join us. I think this is going to be a very important meeting to actually talk about power and energy. There's a lot of conversation around today about policies and what we're doing and how all this stuff is planned and the new renewables and, you know, the oil and the out of gas. So a lot of those questions that were talked about today can be answered at this town hall meeting, or we can also plan together what we want our future look like in energy. So once again, it is June 27th at 6 o'clock to 7:30. You'll be getting some stuff around it, so I expect people to be there. It's important that you're there and actually have some input around that. So does anyone have any questions around this?
That's a Zoom call?
Yeah, it's a Zoom.